3 days after the battle, Admiral Lisa Chen arrived with additional fleet elements to find the human ship surrounded by debris and very confused alien survivors. Her flagship, the massive battlecruiser Earth's Shield, dwarfed even Captain Rodriguez's carrier. The sight of additional human warships made the rescued Zalathi even more nervous. Aboard the New Horizons medical bay, Zephan was trying to understand what she had witnessed. The humans had destroyed threats that seemed impossible to defeat, but they had done it with such casual efficiency that it frightened her. Dr. Helen Carter sat beside the alien first officer, carefully monitoring her patient's health while trying to establish better communication. The universal translator had improved significantly over the past few days. "Your people saved us," Zephan said quietly. "But I do not understand how or why." "We received your distress signal," Carter replied simply. "Someone needed help. But you are clearly military forces. Your ships carry enough weapons to destroy entire worlds. Why would warriors respond to a call for peaceful explorers?" Carter paused to consider her answer. The cultural gap between their species was larger than she had initially realized. Where we come from, sometimes the people best equipped to keep the peace are those who understand war. Captain Rodriguez entered the medical bay accompanied by Engineer Plixon, who had been working with human technicians to analyze Harvester technology. The Zalathi engineer carried a data device containing information that would change everything. "Captain," Plixon announced, "I have made a terrible discovery. The Harvesters are not unique to our ship." Rodriguez felt his blood turn cold. "Explain." "While studying their technology, I accessed their collective memory banks," Plixon continued. "These machines have been dormant throughout this entire region of space. There are hundreds of them, maybe thousands, sleeping on dead worlds and abandoned ships." Dr. Veltar, who had been quietly listening from his bed, added more disturbing information. "The Harvesters were created as weapons during an ancient war. When their creators were destroyed, the machines went into hibernation mode. They were waiting for someone to accidentally wake them up." "How many species live in this region?" Rodriguez asked. "Dozens," Zephan replied. "Most are peaceful like us. The Zalathi Confederation includes 15 different worlds. Our neighbors include the Peaceful Assembly of Korth, the Garden Worlds Alliance, and the Harmony Collective." Rodriguez exchanged glances with Dr. Carter. Both humans understood the implications immediately. An entire region of space filled with peaceful species was sitting on top of dormant weapons that could destroy them all. "We need to contact Admiral Chen immediately," Rodriguez decided. Within hours, a meeting was arranged aboard the Earth's Shield. The surviving senior officers of the Serenity's Grace were invited to participate through holographic communication systems. It would be the first formal diplomatic contact between humanity and the galactic community. Admiral Chen entered the conference room accompanied by her senior staff. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that had commanded fleets through 3 major conflicts. Her presence filled the room with quiet authority. Zephan and the other Zalathi representatives appeared as 3-dimensional projections around the conference table. The aliens were still recovering from their ordeal, but they understood the importance of this meeting. "First," Admiral Chen began, "I want to express our condolences for the loss of your people and your ship. We understand that this was a scientific vessel on a peaceful mission." "Thank you," Zephan replied formally. "We are grateful to your people for risking their lives to save us. But we must discuss the larger implications of what has happened." Dr. Carter activated a holographic display showing the locations of dormant harvester sites throughout the region. Red dots marked confirmed locations, while yellow dots showed probable sites based on Plixen's analysis. Our preliminary count suggests at least 200 dormant harvester installations, Carter announced. Each one contains enough machines to overwhelm several star systems if they are awakened. Engineer Plixen added his technical assessment. The harvesters become stronger each time they successfully harvest a population. If multiple sites are activated simultaneously, they could spread faster than any defense could contain them. Admiral Chen studied the display with the experienced eye of someone who had spent decades planning military campaigns. What are the defensive capabilities of the local species? Zephon's answer confirmed their worst fears. Most species in this region have never developed military technology. We have always solved conflicts through negotiation and compromise. The strongest weapons in our space are asteroid mining lasers. Mining lasers, repeated Colonel Amy Parker, who was attending the meeting via communication link. Against machines that adapt to weapons in real time. Dr. Veltar spoke up from his medical bed. Your species mentioned that you have encountered similar threats before. How is this possible? Surely no civilization could survive repeated encounters with weapons like the harvesters. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Admiral Chen realized that this moment would define the relationship between humanity and these peaceful aliens for generations to come. Our homeworld is what we call a death world, she began carefully. From the moment life began on Earth, survival required constant struggle against predators, diseases, natural disasters, and competition for resources. Engineer Commander Sandra White brought up a holographic display of Earth's history. Images showed volcanic eruptions, ice ages, massive extinctions, and the rise of countless predator species. Our evolution was shaped by millions of years of warfare, Chen continued, not just against other species, but against our own environment. When we developed intelligence, we used it primarily to become better at surviving in a hostile universe. Beitao. Zelathi stared at the images in fascination and horror. Their own homeworld was a garden paradise, where the most dangerous predator was a small creature that ate insects. When we reached space, Chen explained, we discovered that most species evolved on peaceful worlds like yours. They never needed to develop the survival instincts that we consider normal. Zephon asked the question that was troubling all the aliens. You call yourselves peaceful explorers, but you carry enough weapons to destroy entire star systems. How do we know you will not become a threat to us? The human officers exchanged glances. This was the critical moment of first contact. Because, Admiral Chen replied simply, we have learned that the best way to keep the peace is to be strong enough to protect it. Captain Rodriguez leaned forward. Our weapons are not pointed at you. They are pointed at threats like the harvesters. Every ship in our fleet exists to protect people who cannot protect themselves. Dr. Carter added the scientific perspective. Human psychology is based on pack behavior and protective instincts. We form strong bonds with other groups and will fight to defend them. Your distress signal triggered our deepest evolutionary responses. Plixen had been studying the human ship designs during his recovery. Your vessels are built for both exploration and warfare. This suggests a species that expects to encounter both wonders and dangers in space. Exactly, Chen confirmed. We explore the galaxy hoping to find friends, but prepared to fight enemies. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Iron Wolf. Commander Sullivan's voice carried bad news. "Admiral, we are detecting multiple energy signatures from dormant sites throughout the region. Something is waking up the other harvester installations." The conference room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. The battle they had just won was only the beginning. Admiral Chen stood up and began issuing orders. "All ships to combat alert. Contact Earth Command and request immediate reinforcements. We are going to need everything we have." She turned to the Zalathi representatives. "This is no longer just about one ship or one species. The entire region is in danger. We can help you, but we need to know, are you willing to accept assistance from a species that fights like demons?" Zephan looked at her surviving colleagues and then back at the humans who had risked everything to save them. The decision was not difficult. "Yes," she said firmly. "We accept your help. But what do you need from us?" "Information," Chen replied. "Locations of every inhabited world, space station, and colony in the region. We need to know who to protect and where they are located." Dr. Veltar accessed his scientific databases. "I can provide star charts and population centers for 43 inhabited systems." "That's a start," Chen said. "But we are going to need more than information. We need allies." "What kind of allies?" Zephan asked. Admiral Chen smiled with the confidence of someone who had never lost a war. "The kind who understand that sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is win a fight so completely that no one ever wants to start another one." As emergency signals began arriving from across the region, the humans prepared to do what they did best: protect those who could not protect themselves, regardless of the cost. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children were very good at keeping promises, especially the ones that involved stopping monsters. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix, staring at the main screen with growing amazement. 3 weeks into their deep space mission, his crew had discovered something that would change everything humanity thought they knew about the universe. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the 4th planet in this system," said Chief Science Officer Lisa Carter, her fingers dancing across her console. "The readings are off the charts. Whatever is producing this energy, it's not natural." Jake moved closer to Lisa's station. The Phoenix was Earth's newest exploration vessel, equipped with the most advanced sensors humanity had ever built. If Lisa said something was unusual, then it definitely was. "How massive are we talking about?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled up a holographic display that showed swirling energy patterns around a distant gas giant. "Captain, the power output I'm detecting could supply Earth's entire energy grid for 1,000 years. And it's constant. Whatever is generating this has been running for a very long time." Communications Officer Ryan Bell looked up from his station with excitement in his eyes. "Captain, I'm picking up data transmissions. Lots of them. The signals are incredibly complex, but they're definitely artificial. Someone is talking out there, and they're using technology we've never seen before." Jake felt his heart rate increase. For over a century, humanity had searched the stars for signs of intelligent life. They had found planets that could support life, even discovered simple organisms on a few worlds. But never anything like this. Never proof of advanced civilization. "Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez to the bridge," Jake called over the ship's communication system. Within minutes, Sam arrived on the bridge, still wearing his work coveralls. "You called, Captain?" "Sam, take a look at these readings. I need to know if the Phoenix can handle getting closer to whatever is producing these energy signatures." Sam studied the data for several minutes, his experienced eyes analyzing every detail. "The energy output is stable, Captain, No dangerous fluctuations or radiation spikes. As long as we approach slowly and keep our distance, we should be fine. But Captain, I've never seen anything like this. This technology is centuries ahead of anything we have. Jake nodded and turned to his navigation officer. Lieutenant Commander, Tony Brooks, set course for the gas giant. Keep us at maximum sensor range until we know more about what we're dealing with. Yes, sir, Tony replied, his hands already working at the navigation controls. As the Phoenix moved closer to the mysterious energy source, the main screen began to show more details. What they saw made the entire bridge crew fall silent. Orbiting the gas giant was a structure so massive it defied belief. The space station was at least 50 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide, its hull covered in organic curves that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Bioluminescent panels pulsed with soft blue and green light, creating patterns that moved across the station's surface like living text. "My God," whispered Dr. Nicole Hayes, the ship's xenobiologist, who had just arrived on the bridge. "It's beautiful, and it's definitely not human technology." The station looked more grown than built, as if some cosmic gardener had cultivated a city in space. Smaller vessels moved around it like insects around a flower, their designs just as organic and flowing as the main structure. "Captain," Ryan said, his voice tight with concentration, "I'm detecting hundreds of different signal types, multiple languages, various transmission methods. This isn't just one alien species. This is some kind of meeting place for multiple civilizations." Jake felt the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. Humanity's first contact with alien life wasn't going to be with a single species on a distant planet. They had stumbled onto what appeared to be a galactic crossroads. "Lisa, can you determine how many different ships are docked at that station?" "Scanning now, Captain." Lisa worked at her console for several minutes before looking up with wide eyes. "I count at least 40 different vessel types, and many of them are designs I can't even begin to understand. Some appear to be made of crystal, others look like they're constructed from metal that flows like liquid. Captain, we're looking at technology from dozens of different civilizations." Dr. Hayes moved to the science station and began running her own scans. "The biological components of that station are fascinating. Some sections appear to be alive, actually growing and changing as we watch. I'm detecting complex organic chemistry, but it's unlike anything in Earth's biological systems." "Captain," Sam said quietly, "our weapons and shields are primitive compared to what we're seeing. If these aliens decide they don't like us, the big Phoenix wouldn't last 10 seconds in a fight." Jake knew Sam was right, but he also knew this was the most important moment in human history. The decision he made in the next few minutes would determine how humanity entered the galactic community, if they were allowed to enter at all. "Ryan, can you analyze their communication methods? I want to try to make contact." "Already working on it, Captain. The signals are incredibly complex, but I think I can create a basic mathematical sequence that might get their attention. If they're as advanced as they appear, they should recognize prime numbers and basic physics constants." "Do it," Jake ordered. Ryan's fingers flew across his console as he prepared humanity's first message to an alien civilization. "Transmitting now, Captain. I'm sending a basic mathematical progression followed by our location and a peaceful greeting in multiple Earth languages." The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response. Seconds stretched into minutes, and Jake began to wonder if their message had even been received. Then the main screen flickered, and a new image appeared. The alien face that looked back at them was unlike anything they had imagined. The being had large, multifaceted eyes that seemed to shift color, and its skin had a metallic sheen that reflected the light from its surroundings. When it spoke, the words came through the ship's translation computers in clear, accented English. Unknown vessel, you have entered the space of the Zephyrian Collective. State your origin and purpose. Jake stepped forward, feeling the eyes of his entire crew upon him. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Phoenix. We come in peace, seeking contact with other intelligent life forms. The alien's expression was difficult to read, but there seemed to be surprise in those shifting eyes. Earth? We have no record of this world in our databases. You claim to represent an undiscovered civilization? That's correct. We are humans from the planet Earth, and this is our first contact with alien life. There was a long pause as the alien consulted with others off-screen. Jake could hear the murmur of voices speaking in languages that sounded like music mixed with mathematics. Captain Morrison, the alien finally said, I am Elder Vextai of the Zephyrian Council. Your arrival has created quite a stir among our member species. A new spacefaring civilization is a rare event. We invite you to dock with our station so that we may learn more about your people. Jake felt a mixture of excitement and terror. This was what humanity had dreamed of for generations. But he also knew that his next decisions could determine the fate of his entire species. Elder Vextai, we would be honored to meet with your council. However, I must inform you that we are explorers, not diplomats. We were not expecting to make first contact today. The alien's expression seemed to soften slightly. Few civilizations are prepared for their first encounter with the galactic community, Captain Morrison. We will provide guidance. Please follow the beacon we are transmitting to Docking Bay 7. As the communication ended, Jake turned to his crew. Each face reflected the same mixture of awe and apprehension that he felt. Tony, follow their beacon. Sam, I want a full diagnostic of all ship systems. Lisa, keep scanning everything you can. Ryan, monitor all communications. Dr. Hayes, prepare your first contact protocols. Captain, Dr. Hayes said quietly, we're about to make history. Jake nodded, watching as the massive alien station grew larger on the main screen. Yes, we are. Let's make sure it's the right kind of history. The Phoenix moved slowly toward the docking bay, its human crew about to take the first steps into a galaxy full of wonders they could never have imagined. Behind them, Earth continued its orbit, around the sun, unaware that its children had just announced humanity's presence to the stars. The shuttle bay doors of the alien station opened like a massive mouth, revealing a cavernous space that could have held 20 ships the size of the Phoenix. Captain Jake Morrison watched through the shuttle's viewport as they glided into the docking area, still amazed by the organic architecture that surrounded them. The artificial gravity is almost identical to Earth normal, said Dr. Nicole Hayes, checking her instruments. They've adjusted their systems to accommodate us. Lieutenant, Commander Tony Brooks piloted the shuttle with steady hands, following the guidance beacons that pulsed with soft blue light. Docking complete, Captain. All systems green. Jake stood and straightened his uniform. He had chosen to wear his formal dress blues for this historic meeting, knowing that first impressions would matter. Beside him, Dr. Hayes carried her portable analysis equipment, and Tony wore his sidearm as protocol required. Remember, Jake said to his companions, we represent all of humanity today. Whatever happens in there will determine how our species is viewed by the entire galaxy. The shuttle's airlock opened with a soft hiss, and they stepped into the alien station. The first thing that struck Jake was the smell. The air carried scents of ozone and something that reminded him of ocean spray, but underneath was something entirely alien, like the scent of metal flowers. Elder Vexatai waited for them, accompanied by two other beings that Jake assumed were guards or assistants. Up close, the alien leader was even more impressive. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his metallic skin shifting between silver and copper tones in the station's bioluminescent lighting. "Captain Morrison," Vextai said, his voice carrying a musical quality that the translation devices couldn't quite capture. "Welcome to Station Harmony. I trust your journey from your vessel was comfortable." "Very much so, Elder Vextai. Thank you for accommodating our atmospheric needs. It is the least we could do for such distinguished guests. Come, the Council is eager to meet representatives of a new civilization." They walked through corridors that seemed more like the inside of a living creature than a space station. The walls pulsed gently with bioluminescent patterns, and Jake could swear he felt a heartbeat thrumming through the floor beneath his feet. "Elder Vextai," Dr. Hayes said, "forgive my curiosity, but is this station actually alive?" The alien leader's expression seemed pleased. "Perceptive question, Dr. Hayes. Station Harmony is what you might call a hybrid creation. We grew it using biotechnology, then enhanced it with traditional engineering. It has been our gathering place for over 3,000 years. They entered a massive chamber that took Jake's breath away. The council hall was a sphere nearly a kilometer in diameter, with seating areas arranged in concentric rings that floated at different levels throughout the space. Hundreds of beings from dozens of different species filled the chamber, and Jake realized he was looking at representatives of an entire galactic civilization. Some of the aliens looked almost humanoid, while others defied description. He saw beings made of what appeared to be living crystal, creatures that looked like walking trees, and entities that seemed to be composed of pure energy contained within geometric forms. The diversity was overwhelming. The Galactic Council consists of 47 member species, Vextai explained as they walked toward a platform in the center of the chamber. Each has earned their place through demonstrated technological advancement, cultural maturity, and military capability. Jake noticed the emphasis on military capability, but said nothing. He was beginning to understand that this meeting was more than just a friendly greeting. They reached the central platform, which rose slowly until they were visible to the entire assembly. Jake felt hundreds of alien eyes studying him and his companions with intense curiosity. "Honored Council," Vextai announced, his voice carrying throughout the chamber without amplification. "I present Captain Jake Morrison, Dr. Nicole Hayes, and Lieutenant Commander Tony Brooks of the species that calls itself human, from the world they name Earth." A murmur ran through the assembled aliens, a sound that reminded Jake of wind through a forest of crystalline trees. He stepped forward and spoke clearly. "Honored Council, my people are grateful for this opportunity to meet with your civilizations. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars." The response was mixed. Some sections of the council seemed welcoming, while others appeared skeptical or even dismissive. A being that looked like it was carved from living stone spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding boulders. "What can these primitives offer the council? Their vessel is crude, their technology barely sufficient for interstellar travel. Why should we waste time with such a backward species?" Dr. Hayes stepped forward before Jake could respond. "Honored Counselor, while our technology may seem primitive to your advanced civilizations, humanity has achieved spaceflight through ingenuity and determination. We have much to learn, but perhaps we also have perspectives that might prove valuable. A creature that appeared to be made of flowing metal spoke next. The young species speaks well, but words are easy. The Council requires proof of worthiness before full membership can be considered. Elder Vextai raised a hand for silence. The Council follows ancient protocols for evaluating new species. Captain Morrison, your people must demonstrate 3 things: technological innovation, cultural stability, and military capability. The first 2 we can assess through examination and discussion. The third requires a practical demonstration. Jake felt his stomach tighten. What kind of demonstration, Elder? A display of your military capabilities in a controlled environment. All Council species have proven their ability to defend themselves and contribute to galactic security. This is not about aggression, Captain, but about ensuring that new members can stand as equals in our community. The crystalline being that had spoken earlier leaned forward. Most species demonstrate advanced shielding technology, sophisticated targeting systems, or innovative defensive strategies. What capabilities do humans possess? Jake thought about the Phoenix's weapon systems. Compared to what he had seen of alien technology, human weapons seemed laughably primitive. But they were what humanity had developed, and he would not apologize for his species' achievements. Our weapons are based on chemical propulsion and explosive compounds, Jake said honestly. We use kinetic projectiles and plasma-enhanced warheads. Our defensive systems rely on reactive armor and electronic countermeasures. The council chamber erupted in what Jake could only describe as polite laughter. The stone being spoke again. Chemical explosives? How quaint. Such methods were abandoned by most civilizations millennia ago in favor of more efficient energy-based systems. Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks but kept his voice steady. Our methods may be different, but they are effective. Humanity has defended itself successfully throughout our history. Vexitide gestured for quiet. The demonstration will take place in the designated testing zone. Captain Morrison, your vessel will be given targets to engage under observation. The Council will evaluate your capabilities and determine your species' readiness for membership. And if we refuse? Jake asked. Then your species will be noted in our databases as unready for galactic contact, and you will be asked to return when you have developed more advanced capabilities. This could take centuries, Captain. Jake knew he had no real choice. Refusing would end humanity's chance at joining the galactic community, possibly forever. But agreeing meant exposing human military technology to dozens of alien civilizations, some of whom might not have peaceful intentions. I need to consult with my crew, Jake said. Of course. You have 1 standard hour to prepare. The demonstration will be broadcast throughout the station so that all council members may observe. As they were escorted to a waiting area, Dr. Hayes spoke quietly to Jake. Captain, I don't like this. We're being forced to show our hand to species we know nothing about. I know, Jake replied, but what choice do we have? If we refuse, humanity remains isolated. If we agree, at least we have a chance at membership. Tony had remained silent during the council session, but now he spoke up. Captain, with respect, they're treating us like primitives. Maybe it's time to show them that human ingenuity shouldn't be underestimated. Jake activated his communicator. Morrison to Phoenix. Lisa, I need you to prepare the ship for a weapons demonstration. Full combat readiness. But remember, we're being observed by potentially hostile aliens. Lisa's voice crackled through the device. Understood, Captain. Should I load the special warheads? Jake paused, thinking about the Phoenix's most advanced weapons. The ship carried experimental plasma-enhanced missiles that created spectacular explosions designed for asteroid mining and space-clearing operations. They were powerful, but he had never seen them used in combat conditions. Load them. All, Lisa. If we're going to do this, we're going to show them what humanity is capable of. As they waited for the demonstration to begin, Jake wondered if he was making the right choice. In a few hours, the galaxy would see human weapons in action for the first time. He had no idea that this demonstration would awaken fears that had slumbered in the galactic consciousness for millions of years. The viewing chamber filled with alien observers, all eager to see what the testing zone stretched for thousands of kilometers in the empty space between two dead moons. Ancient derelict ships from various alien civilizations floated in neat rows, their hulls dark and cold. Massive asteroids had been positioned at regular intervals, creating a target range that looked like a graveyard of metal and stone. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of Station Harmony, watching through the massive transparent dome as the Phoenix moved into position. Around him, hundreds of alien beings filled the viewing areas, their conversations creating a buzz of anticipation that the translation devices rendered as overlapping whispers. The human vessel appears even more primitive when viewed against our testing targets, commented the stone being that had spoken dismissively in the council chamber. I predict their demonstration will be brief and unremarkable. Elder Vextai stood beside Jake, his metallic features reflecting the light from the distant stars. Captain Morrison, your vessel may begin when ready. The targets have been arranged in order of increasing difficulty. We suggest starting with the smaller derelicts. Jake activated his communicator. Morrison to Phoenix. Lisa, you have permission to begin the demonstration. Show them what we can do. From her position as acting commander aboard the Phoenix, Chief Science Officer Lisa Carter felt the weight of representing humanity's military might. She had served on 3 different ships before the Phoenix, but never had the stakes been this high. All stations, this is Carter. We are beginning weapons demonstration. All crew to battle stations. The familiar red lights bathed the bridge as the Phoenix transformed from exploration vessel to warship. Sam Rodriguez's voice came over the internal communications. Engineering reports all systems ready, Commander. Main guns charged, missile tubes loaded with the new plasma-enhanced warheads. Ryan, target the first derelict. A clean shot through the center mass. Communications Officer Ryan Bell worked at his targeting console. Target locked, Commander. It's an old Zephyrian transport, about the same size as a human destroyer. Fire. When ready. The Phoenix's main railgun spoke with a thunderous roar that vibrated through the ship's hull. The magnetic coils accelerated a tungsten penetrator to a significant fraction of light speed, but this was not what made the watching aliens gasp in amazement. As the projectile struck the derelict ship, the tungsten rod triggered a series of secondary explosions. The target had been loaded with reactive charges to simulate a real engagement, and when the human projectile hit, the entire vessel erupted in a spectacular ball of orange and red flame. The explosion expanded like a miniature star being born, throwing debris in all directions, while the fireball continued to burn for several seconds. To the human crew, it was a successful hit. To the watching aliens, it looked like their ship had breathed fire across the void. Interesting, murmured Elder Vextai, though Jake noticed a slight tremor in the alien's voice. Most species use energy weapons that simply destroy their targets. Your weapons create quite a visual display. On the observation deck, the assembled aliens fell unusually quiet. The crystal beings clustered together, their forms flickering with rapid color changes that indicated intense discussion. The flowing metal creatures had frozen in place, their liquid surfaces rippling with what appeared to be agitation. "Commander Carter," Ryan called from his station, "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from the station. It looks like they're doing intensive scanning of our weapon systems." "Let them scan," Lisa replied. "Target the next ship. This time use a full spread of missiles." The Phoenix rotated slightly, bringing its missile tubes to bear on a larger target. This derelict had once been a military vessel, its armor still intact despite centuries of drift in the void. "Firing missiles," announced Weapons Officer Pete Collins. 6 missiles streaked away from the Phoenix, their chemical rocket motors leaving brilliant trails of fire behind them. Each missile was equipped with the experimental plasma-enhanced warheads that Sam Rodriguez had designed for asteroid mining operations. The missiles struck the target in rapid succession. The first warhead punched through the hull and detonated inside the ship. The plasma enhancement turned the explosive charge into a contained star, superheating the metal around it until the entire section glowed white-hot. The second and third missiles struck milliseconds later, their plasma charges creating a chain reaction that ripped through the derelict structure. By the time the 6th missile hit, the target ship was already coming apart, but the final explosion sent pieces flying in a shower of molten metal that looked like cosmic fireworks. But it was not just the destruction that shocked the watching aliens. It was the fire. Each missile left a trail of flame as it flew through space, and the explosions created expanding spheres of superheated gas that glowed like miniature suns. The Phoenix appeared to be spitting fire like some mythological dragon, breathing destruction across the testing zone. "By the ancient codes," whispered a tall, insectoid alien near the back of the observation deck, "they fight with stellar fire." Jake noticed that the mood in the observation chamber had changed dramatically. Where before there had been dismissive chatter and condescending comments, now there was a tense silence, broken only by urgent whispered conversations in dozens of alien languages. "Commander?" Sam's voice came through the communicator from the Phoenix. "The aliens are really scanning us hard now. Multiple energy beams focused on our weapon systems. Should I raise shields?" "Negative," Lisa replied. "We're here to demonstrate, not hide. Target the asteroid cluster, full bombardment." The largest targets in the testing zone were 3 massive asteroids that had been grouped together to simulate a fortified position. Each asteroid was over 1 kilometer in diameter, their surfaces scarred by eons of cosmic impacts. Lisa decided to use the Phoenix's most impressive capability: all weapons, synchronized bombardment. "I want those asteroids reduced to gravel." The Phoenix unleashed everything in its arsenal. Railguns fired penetrating rounds while missile batteries launched wave after wave of plasma-enhanced warheads. The ship's point defense lasers, designed to intercept incoming projectiles, painted targeting beams across the asteroids before the main guns opened fire. The first asteroid disappeared in a ball of fire so bright that the station's viewing ports automatically darkened to protect the observer's eyes. The explosion was visible for several seconds as superheated rock and metal expanded outward in a perfect sphere of destruction. The second asteroid lasted slightly longer, but the concentrated fire from the Phoenix's weapons turned it into glowing fragments within minutes. The plasma warheads created such intense heat that pieces of the asteroid were actually vaporized, creating clouds of glowing gas that swirled through space like cosmic hurricanes. The third asteroid became the target for the Phoenix's experimental weapons. Sam Rodriguez had been working on concentrated plasma charges that could burn through almost any material. When these weapons fired, they created beams of fire that stretched across space like the breath of an angry god. The plasma beam cut through the asteroid like a sword through paper, slicing it into pieces that tumbled away while still glowing from the intense heat. Secondary explosions from the weapons created more fire, more brilliant displays of destruction that painted the testing zone in shades of orange and red. From the observation deck, it looked like the Phoenix was breathing continuous streams of fire. The ship moved through space trailing flames from its engines while spitting destruction from its weapons. Every shot created expanding balls of fire, every missile left trails of flame, and the plasma weapons looked like streams of liquid. Starlight. "Demonstration complete," Lisa announced over the communicator. "All targets destroyed or neutralized." Jake turned to face Elder Vextai, expecting to see approval or at least acknowledgement of humanity's military capabilities. Instead, he saw something that looked disturbingly like fear. The alien leader's metallic skin had shifted to a pale copper color, and his large eyes were focused intently on the Phoenix as it moved away from the debris field. Around the observation deck, Jake could see similar expressions of shock and concern on dozens of alien faces. "Elder Vextai," Jake said carefully, "I trust the demonstration met your expectations." The alien leader did not respond immediately. Instead, he activated a communication device and spoke rapidly in his own language. Jake could hear similar conversations starting all around the observation deck as various species contacted their representatives. "Captain Morrison," Vextai finally said, his musical voice strained, "your demonstration has been most illuminating. The Council will need time to discuss what we have witnessed." "Is there a problem?" Jake asked, though he could already sense that something had gone very wrong. "Perhaps it would be best if you and your companions return to your quarters while the Council deliberates," Vextai replied, avoiding Jake's question. As they were escorted away from the observation deck, Jake could hear the urgent conversations continuing behind them. He had no way of knowing that his ship's weapons demonstration had triggered memories and fears that had been buried in the galactic consciousness for millions of years. The Phoenix continued its patrol of the testing zone, its crew proud of their successful demonstration. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 3 hours after the weapons demonstration ended. Captain Jake Morrison and his team had been confined to guest quarters while the aliens held urgent discussions throughout Station Harmony. The corridors buzzed with activity as representatives from 47 different species gathered in small groups, their voices creating a symphony of worry and fear. Elder Vextai stood before the central data core of the station, his metallic fingers dancing across controls that responded to his touch with pulses of bioluminescent light. Around him, the most senior members of the council watched as ancient files were accessed for the first time in millennia. "Search parameters confirmed," announced the station's artificial intelligence in a voice that sounded like singing crystals. "Accessing historical archives from the Third Galactic Era. Warning: these files are classified at the highest security levels." The holographic display filled with images that made the assembled aliens step back in instinctive fear. Ships that breathed fire moved through ancient star systems, their weapons creating the same brilliant explosions and trailing flames that they had just witnessed from the human vessel. "By the ancestors," whispered Council member Zafara, a crystalline being whose faceted form was flickering rapidly between colors of alarm. "The visual match is perfect. The humans fight exactly like the flame bearers. The records were old beyond measure. dating back to a time when the current galactic civilization was young and many of the species present had not yet achieved spaceflight. But every major civilization had some record of the terror that had swept through the galaxy millions of years ago. Data correlation complete, the AI announced. Weapon signatures show 93% similarity to archived Flamebearer combat recordings. Energy discharge patterns, visual characteristics, and destructive methodology all match historical precedents. Elder Vextai's skin had shifted to a pale, frightened hue as he studied the data. Display the casualty reports from the Flamebearer. Conflicts. New holographic images appeared, showing star charts marked with red symbols. Each symbol represented a world that had been destroyed, a civilization that had been wiped from existence by the fire-breathing ships of legend. Confirmed. Destroyed civilizations. 437, the AI reported with mechanical precision. Estimated casualties. Over 2 trillion sentient beings. Duration of conflict, approximately 800 years. Termination cause, unknown. The Flamebearers vanished from recorded space without explanation. Council member Thrak, whose stone-like form had remained motionless throughout the session, finally spoke with a voice like grinding mountains. Our ancestors built this galactic order specifically to prevent such destruction from ever happening again. Our weapons, our ships, our entire military doctrine was designed to fight enemies that used energy-based systems. But fire weapons, added Zafara, her crystalline structure ringing with harmonics of distress. Fire weapons were banned by the ancient treaties. No civilization has used combustion-based weapons for over 2 million years. We have no defenses against such primitive, destructive methods. The tall, insectoid representative from the Kalari swarm clicked its mandibles in agitation. Our histories speak of the star dragons that consumed entire fleets with cosmic fire. The descriptions match exactly what we witnessed today. Ships that breathed flame, weapons that created expanding suns of destruction. The liquid metal being that represented the Nexari collective rippled with anxiety. Our geometric poetry speaks of the flame dancers who painted death across the void. Every major civilization has legends of these destroyers, and now they have returned. Elder Vextai turned away from the display, his shoulders heavy with the weight of galactic history. The question we must answer is simple, but terrifying. Are the humans the descendants of the Flamebearers? Have our ancient destroyers returned to finish what they started? Meanwhile, in their guest quarters, Jake Morrison paced restlessly, while Dr. Nicole Hayes and Lieutenant Commander Tony Brooks watched the alien news broadcasts on the room's viewing screen. Even without understanding the languages being spoken, they could see that their weapons demonstration had caused major concern throughout the station. The visual feeds keep showing our attack on those asteroids, Tony observed. They're playing it over and over again like it's the most important thing that's ever happened. Dr. Hayes was studying readings from her portable sensors. The biological stress indicators from our alien hosts are off the charts. Whatever we did out there, it terrified them on a fundamental level. But why? Jake asked, stopping his pacing to look at his companions. Our weapons worked exactly as designed. We destroyed the targets cleanly and efficiently. What could be frightening about that? Before anyone could answer, the door chimed and Elder Vextai entered with 2 guards. The alien leader's demeanor had changed completely from their earlier meetings. Where before he had been welcoming, now he seemed tense and afraid. Captain Morrison, we need to discuss what happened during your demonstration. Of course, Elder Vextai. I hope our performance was satisfactory. Satisfactory is not the word I would choose. Vextai replied grimly. Captain, I must ask you directly. Does your species have any historical records of previous galactic contact? Any legends or stories about your ancestors traveling among the stars? Jake frowned at the unexpected question. No, Elder. Humanity only achieved interstellar flight within the last century. Before that, we were confined to our solar system. Why do you ask? Vextai activated a holographic projector that filled the room with ancient images. These are historical records from our archives, dating back millions of years. I want you to watch carefully and tell me what you see. The hologram showed space, battles from an unimaginably distant past. Ships that looked nothing like current alien vessels moved through the void, their weapons creating brilliant explosions and trails of fire. Jake watched in growing amazement as the ancient warships fought with tactics and weapons that looked remarkably familiar. They fight like humans, Tony said quietly. Those aren't energy weapons. Those are explosives, chemical propulsion, kinetic weapons. The ships, Dr. Hayes added, her voice filled with wonder. They move like predators, like earth animals hunting prey. Not like the flowing, graceful movements of your current vessels. Vextai nodded grimly. The beings who piloted these ships called themselves many names, but galactic history knows them as the Flame Bearers. They appeared suddenly in our galaxy millions of years ago, with technology that seemed primitive, but was devastatingly effective. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to them? They destroyed 437 civilizations. Before vanishing without explanation, every major species in our galaxy has legends about them, ships that breathed fire, weapons that created expanding suns, warriors who fought like cosmic dragons. The hologram changed to show statistical data and casualty reports. The numbers were staggering, representing destruction on a scale that Jake could barely comprehend. Elder Vextai, Dr. Hayes said carefully, are you suggesting that humans are related to these ancient destroyers? The evidence is undeniable, Vextai replied. Your weapons, your fighting style, even the way your ship moves through space, everything matches our historical records perfectly. The Council believes that humanity are the descendants of the Flame Bearers, returned to finish what your ancestors started. Jake felt the room spinning around him. That's impossible. Our evolutionary history is well documented. Humans evolved on Earth from earlier species. We have fossil records, genetic evidence, everything needed to prove our origin. Perhaps your ancestors colonized Earth and forgot their origins, Vextai suggested. Or perhaps they left descendants behind when they vanished from known space. The similarities are too exact to be coincidence. Tony stepped forward, his military training making him focus on practical concerns. Elder, what does this mean for humanity's relationship with the galactic community? Vexatai's expression grew even more troubled. The Council is divided. Some members believe that humans should be welcomed as returning descendants of a legendary civilization. Others think that humanity should be destroyed before they can resume their ancestors' work of galactic destruction. And what do you believe? Jake asked. I believe, Vextai said slowly, that the galaxy is about to change in ways we cannot predict. Whether humanity are truly the descendants of the Flame Bearers or simply an impossible coincidence, your weapons demonstration has awakened fears that have slept for millions of years. The alien leader moved toward the door, then paused. Captain Morrison, the Council will reach a decision within the next few hours. I suggest you use that time to prepare for whatever comes next." After Vexitai left, the three humans sat in stunned silence. Outside their window, the massive alien station continued its orbit around the gas giant, but Jake could see increased military activity as warships moved into defensive positions. "Jake," Dr. Hayes said quietly, "what if they're right? What if there is some connection between humans and these ancient flame bearers?" "Even if there is," Tony replied, "it doesn't change who we are today. Humanity came here in peace, seeking friendship among the stars.